Welcome back, everybody, to the European LCS, where I am joined by Deficio and Rockets. Foxy is feeling amazing, probably player of the series, won another series, so...
one trick.
Got
it all. He got it all.
Got it all in there. But we're going to talk about Origen and Splyce because it is our final match of Week 8 and do or die for Origen. Deficio, they lost 0-2 to Vitality on Thursday, and if they lose one more series, they are definitely mathematically, for sure, locked into the promotion tournament. So do you think that they have a chance here?
Against Splyce? Not really. I mean, if you can't beat Vitality, why would you beat the team above you right now? I think if you're Origen, I don't even think you're thinking about like avoiding promotion tournament at the moment. I don't think you're believing you can like beat HOK, Unicorns, all these teams. I think it's just like improve as much as possible. Try and get some confidence. I think confidence has been very important for you guys when you beat Origen, and I think that's what they're looking for.
Yeah, Foxy was saying how important one win is to kind of propel you forward. So for Origen's going to be very hard, so I want to turn my attention also to their opponents. In Splyce, you guys recently played them in the cross-group play, and a lot of players have said that they seem to be improving fast. What do you think of them?
Splyce?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're improving pretty fast. In the beginning, they were a bit shaky, but right now, I think they found their play. They're playing carry top. They're starting to play a lot of carry top champions, and they just found that way of them.
Yeah, and Wonder is a player we're definitely looking at, who seems to be finding his own in the new meta. When you played versus him, what did you think?
I think Wunder is like one of the best top laners in Europe right now. Top 3, I would say, with Chachi, Odamne, and then Alfari. And the others, maybe me.
Yeah, Wonder was also in the All-Star, or like in the All-MVP. What is that? I just forgot.
The All-Pro team.
The All-Pro team, rather. Last
Yeah.
split, and he was someone that we were super looking at. It seems to be that the meta change is kind of a make or break for anyone, and if anything, Wonder should be someone who can take advantage of it.
Yeah, 100%. Again, as you said, you know, he's a really good player, very strong laner, good mechanics. We saw a lot of Gnar from him last split as well. If you remember that playoff series versus HOK, 5 games in a row.
They did not ban it out,
but they didn't
ever.
ban it, you know, and he was just so good. So I think also it's also because it makes it easier for Trashy in the early game. Like when he can just say, you know what, I can go top, play around Wonder, and then I know we're gonna have like a winning lane. It makes it a little bit easier as a jungler to path around, where before I felt like Trashy had to pick between 3 lanes where they're all going even or slightly losing, and then it becomes pretty difficult. So I think it's good for him that he has his brother in the top lane playing well.
Well, if everything goes as we expect, it should be a 2-0 for Splyce, but if Origen is to make a mark here, where does it come from? Who can step up? Is there a chance?
I'm gonna give him to you.
I'd say it's more on Synkrov. If he puts up some confidence in him, shows some good plays, maybe he can take down the game, because I think Trashy has not been doing like really well this split. It was more like the others, so maybe Synkrov can do something there.
All right, well, we'll see if Synkrov can make something happen for Origen, and we'll see if Splyce can put the first nail in the coffin of Origen as we send it over to the casters for Game 1.
Thank you, Shocks. I'm Daniel Dracos. With me is Vetty, and we're about to find out if an Origen that can win a series is a mythical animal or a real one. Vetty, are you ready? Is it real? Is it going to happen? Are we going to see the OG win?
Well, that's the big question. I think that a lot of eyes are on whether or not Origen can perform, but there are also a lot of eyes on how well Splyce are doing, because as the analyst desk mentioned, and we've been seeing over the last week, Splyce just seem to be improving week on week on week.
Well, we'll see if they can continue that improvement. We'll start with their roster on the blue side. Coming in the top lane, it's Wonder, jungle Trashy, mid lane Senkux, AD carry Kavi, support Mickey X, and of course their coach Yamato Cannon.
And Splyce, they're looking to get themselves a clean 2-0, but they're going to have to go through Origen in order to do that. So let's have a look at their lineup on the other side of the rift, with Sartorius up in the top lane, their jungler Synkrov in the mid lane is Nation, their AD carry Tabs, their support Xpeke, and Coach Leduc.
And this team, of course, struggling, but they are making moves to improve the team. We saw Synkrov come in. He didn't have the greatest performance, but it does seem to be Xpeke and the Origen organization taking steps to ensure that they keep their spot in the LCS, even if they do seem mostly doomed to that promotion tournament.
I think that I was a little critical of Synkrov in his last game, saying that the team doesn't really look that much different with him on the roster, but I suppose that shouldn't really be the expectation, because the team haven't really seen any sort of strength. There's no, when you look at their lineup of Origen, where do you seem to think, oh, this guy can really carry, this guy can really run away with the game? It doesn't feel like they have that, so Synkrov joining a roster that's already struggling makes it even harder for him to stand out and shine as an individual juggler.
It's definitely going to be a difficult fight for OG. And on the other side for Splyce, I mean, we have to talk about it. This is a team that's been kind of down and out this series compared to what we expected. And for them, anything less than a 2-0 will be a disappointment. But it's now into the pick and ban phase. Already seeing some small adaptations coming in. Tom Kemp's taken off the board. Elise, not quite perma-banned in the last few weeks, but definitely high priority when it comes to shutting down the jungle pool.
I actually really like this ban away from Splyce because we were actually looking at some of the numbers for Trashy and his junglers and the shift in the meta. And when he gets his hands on champions like Elise and Gragas, he actually does well above the average amount of damage that you would see from those usual champions. It's simply because of the early pressure that he likes to exert, something that we wouldn't normally associate with Trashy. I like the fact that Origen are respecting this and the fact that Trashy really has been able to have such a huge impact on this champion in particular.
See what is left open and available for him. The jungle ban continue to come out. Graves taken off the table as well. Now we have Zyra, we have Tom Kench, we have Malzahar. There's a lot of attention onto the support here. Is this Splyce shutting down Xpeke in the pick ban phase?
It looks like they're really tunneling on making sure that Xpeke is either on a melee support or is just taken away from these comfort picks. We still have to look that Lulu is still available. The fact that a very early rotation Thresh just leads me to suggest that Origen are just going to go, well, we're going to take Lulu. This is something that Peck has had a lot of play on already this split, and I think that it's a champion he's very comfortable on. Remember, he used to be a mid laner that played a lot of Lulu. Like, this is a champion that just fits into his ball house.
Very powerful champion overall, but OG firing back quickly with the first rotation of their own Rengar as well as the Gragas. So Gragas top lane once again for Sartorius. It's been a solid pick for him, but I kind of just want to go back to the Thresh. This is really surprising to me to see this first pick priority. Is Thresh that good now in the meta?
Well, we hear Crepper talk a lot about it, the kill power that you have with Thresh, especially with the changes down in bottom lane where Exhaust isn't as powerful now, so you can go towards the Ignite, the all-in power that you have. But if you're Splyce right now, you've already seen the jungler and the top laner have been locked in, unless they randomly decide to put Gragas down in support. But I'd be very surprised given how often Sartorius has played it. So if you're Splyce, you could look to get yourself a Renekton right now, but instead they're going for Fizz.
Okay, well, this pick ban's delivering so far.
Yeah,
OG's like, so we're going to pick champions
cool.
that make sense, that people know what they do. Splyce, on the other hand, they're mixing things up. We're seeing the throwback to the Kha'Zix, not a pick that Trashy has seen a ton of success on. Now, Fizz coming in here. We did see some changes. We saw some adjustments to Fizz on the most recent patch, but still, yeah, we've seen it once or twice in NA, but for EU, this is a very new pick.
The fact that it's been picked this early on actually suggests to me that this will be a top lane Fizz rather than a mid lane one. You do have that flexibility, but bear in mind, if we think back a very long time ago where we had the Blade of the Ruin King into Trinity Force Fizz, that was often a pick into tanks because of how much of a free lane that he has. And with the recent changes to Blade of the Ruin King, this could be Wonder saying, hey, I've got a new pick and I'm ready to bring it out.
Blade of the Rune King Fizz top. You heard it here first, folks. If it appears in your solo queue games, you can blame Vedius. I know I will. So Syndra taking off the board, Vladimir to follow. Peke does, in the end, pick up that Lulu support for himself. So both teams kind of mirroring their picks in the early phase. If it is that Fizz top, and now both teams shutting down the mid lane pool. Nahyun, of course, a pretty solid performer for OG, and Senkux has been kind of hit or miss this series.
He certainly has been up or down. Up and down, rather, throughout the regular season. I wouldn't be surprised right now, given the mid lane priority bans, for Origen to get themselves... I mean, they could go for a Cassio on this rotation if they wanted to. Even if it is a Fizz, Cassio actually does very well into him early on. So you can deny him a lot of farm, shut him down early. But the problem you have is you actually don't know where the Fizz is going to go, right? You have that flexibility, which Splyce are taking advantage of. The fact that they've banned away all these mid laners and they're saying, like, hey, these mid laners are actually pretty good into Fizz, and we're going to play a mid lane, or are we, you know?
4 mid lane bans coming out, Vedius. This is a lot of attention paid to Senkux and Nahyun. Now, OG, they want to save their last pick. They want to save that mid lane. They want to hide it as long as possible, but that means they're going to pick the Jhin up pretty early. And while this pick is still very good, it has seemed a lot worse. Since the nerfs to lethality, since the nerfs to Deathfire Touch, it feels like a lot of minor hits to Jhin overall is a power pick.
Yeah. I feel that Ezreal, Caitlyn, even Kalista are actually much stronger in terms of the AD carries right now, but Tab sticking to what he's found more comfortable. Ezreal is a natural answer to Jhin very often. He does very well during the laning phase, and he scales quite nicely into the mid game. But with the Ahri lock-in and with all these mid laners banned, it does confirm that we will be having a top lane Fizz come out. Now, Ahri as a buy and flick, I think, is always a very dangerous thing to do, because often what you can do is she has a very weak early game, so if you pick a very early game heavy champion, you can very effectively shut her down.
Well, interesting to see how this is unfolded. LeBlanc comes in on the opposite side. Now, this is a matchup that we've seen kind of go both ways. LeBlanc, of course, we thought would fall out of favor completely and utterly when just about every pro we talked to told us that the nerfs gutted her. But now coming up once again, being shown off here, this is a lot of pressure on Nahun to perform in this matchup.
I mean, the thing that people have to remember, I feel that is, when you look at a champion, when it gets a couple of nerfs, right, it's not the worst thing in the world. Like, what was originally an S tier now maybe falls down to A tier or B tier, right? That doesn't necessarily mean they're completely gone. And just because LeBlanc took a lot of damage hits, it just means that her early game impact is not as potent as it once was, but it doesn't mean that she still can't have an early game impact. She's still great at roaming around the map. She's still effective at moving into a side lane. She still has a lot of strength that she originally had. She's just lost a lot of damage.
Interesting to see, too. We have two very different compositions going toe-to-toe here overall. Now, this is your chance, audience. If you want to get involved, vote at LOL Esports on Twitter, hashtag SPYWin if you believe in the Fizz top, or hashtag OGWin if you're staying true to XPEK in the squad, if you think they can pull it out here and keep themselves out of that promotion tournament for at least another week.
And remember, ladies and gentlemen, it is top lane week. If you want to ask a top laner about Fizz, you can go ahead and tweet at LOL Esports with the hashtag AskATopLaner and send all your questions over to Faxi and Deficio.
But don't worry, because if you don't, Vedius will ask all of the questions after this
I'm
game.
gonna ask
He's so excited. You can't see him. It's just a big old grin on his face. But this is it, ladies and gentlemen. Splyce versus Origen. The final nail in the coffin for OG. The chance to rise back up for Splyce. One very enthusiastic fan. Here we go. Okay, well.
I like that he's trying. Keep trying.
Yeah, I mean, wrong day for tickets. A little awkward, but, you know, fair.
So, let's start with the top lane, shall we? Because it is a Fizz, it is a Gragas.
It is top lane week.
It's even a yellow Fizz. Perfect for Splyce. But we talked a little bit about it in Champion Select, where now with the changes to Blade of the Ruin King, as along with the changes to the passive, where now he applies a mark, right? The mark now lasts a little bit longer, and while you're hitting on that mark, you do more damage, which is great. So Fizz does more damage. When you stack that on with the Blade of the Ruin King, it becomes even more potent, right? What makes things even better is the changes to Blade of the Ruin King means that when you steal movement speed, when you use the active, right, that duration with which you steal movement speed gets extended each time that you hit them. So you can just stick onto your target forever. If you didn't think Fizz was slippery enough before, try escaping from him now.
We're going to have to see if that's what Sartorius wants to do, or if he just wants to fight straight up with the Fizz. In the past, you mentioned it. This was kind of the free matchup into tanks for Fizz. He's so comfortable to keep trading. See if all the changes have adjusted that, because it's been a long time since we've seen a top lane Fizz, maybe an AD one. Still, obviously, some room there for Wunder to interpret however he wants. But for now, it is the Raptors start on both sides. Both junglers getting a little help out from the team. Laning phase starting up.
Now, Wunder actually doing a really cool thing up in the top lane where he moved very quickly up into the laning phase because he wasn't giving a pull for his jungler. So he's actually set up the wave to push towards him, right? So if we pan up towards the top side, or actually he's just focused on getting an earlier push as possible. He wants to make sure that Sartorius isn't forcing him underneath the turret because he knows that Sartorius has stronger wave clear during the early laning phase. And a Gragas is actually pretty effective at trading naturally during the early levels. So,
of course, Rengar not notorious for incredibly aggressive early game ganks, and you can assume since Gragas was late to the lane that he helped the Rengar out, so you know he's going to be pathing towards the bottom side. And a lot of damage already coming out from Tabs. Mickey not really respecting that Jhin level 1.
It's a good thing that you mentioned the Rengar, Dracos, because look at the shift in pathing that we've actually seen from Syncroft. Bear in mind, you've heard a lot this weekend about the Korean jungle start, where you do Raptors into red, into Krug, into then stealing the enemy blue buff. What Syncroft has done is he started on his Raptors, and he's gone straight to blue, and now in a 1v1.
Oh, Trashy going forward. Syncroft says no, has enough ferocity to lock him up. That could have been disastrous. Though the only thing keeping him alive there is the snare.
So, Charm lands onto Nahun, but I think this will just be a bit of a back and forth. Regardless, going back to this jungle matchup, while it does secure the blue buff for Syncroft, by going for the Gromp as well, you will get level 3, but you will be taking a lot of damage because your smite will be unavailable, which is where Trashy looked to take advantage of, and unfortunately for Syncroft, he ended up losing his flash. But at least he won't get 3 buffed.
Yeah, keeps the buff at the end, and this is kind of the thing that we heard Foxy talking about on the desk, is that we need to see Syncroft succeed if we want to see OG succeed, and it's already Trashy moving into the jungle, contesting some of these buffs. Yes, he doesn't get anything away in the end, but from Syncroft, he has to play safe, he has to play smart if he wants to be that guy that OG can depend on.
Well, on Rengar, he has a lot of potential. We won't really see much from Syncroft until around the level 6 mark. But look at this movement from Wonder. He is just pushing so aggressively in the top side. He knew full well that Syncroft would be in the bottom half of the jungle, especially with the vision that Trashy applied for him. And now, reading the pathing, Wonder gets that deep ward down onto the Krugs, and now the entire team of Splyce know exactly where the enemy jungler is. So look at the bottom lane. Kobbe and Mickey pushing OG's bottom lane straight underneath the turret, taking advantage of this strong early level of Ezreal and Thresh to just force this advantage and net a pretty significant CS difference.
Yeah, this is crazy because earlier we saw a really good trade going in the favor of OG. I thought Mickey X was overextended, but we take a look back down at the bottom lane, 31-20. We're only 4 minutes into the game. That's 2 waves of CS already been missed out by Tabs.
And this is just great understanding of when to push your lanes, thanks to the information that you've gotten of where the enemy jungler is, because Kobbe and Mickey can't take that gamble if they think that Syncroft is around the bottom half of the map and is prime to set up for some kind of a gank. Instead, they knew full well that Syncroft was top side of the map. They knew they could go for a very early push, and now Kobbe has got a perfect back timing for when he can get his tier. He's gotten about as early as he possibly can get, so he's already going to get that stacking.
Gets the control ward as well, so it's pretty nice to have a little bit of extra vision control. Mickey, this is an old school Thresh classic, the roam mid. But LeBlanc pretty hard to lock down in these exchanges. Syncroft waiting in the wings as well. Nagan potentially overcommitting. Nope. Flay goes wide.
Bit of a bait from Zenkox. Let's just say that he missed his charm on purpose in order to bait them in now.
Trashy. Face check the bush on purpose. Oh, Mickey now locked up. Syncroft goes in, Syncroft goes out. Nothing gonna come. Both teams aggressive, playing on the front foot, looking to make a play here.
So just a bit of back and forth, testing the water there. They're dipping their toe into the pond. It's a little bit too cold for now, so they might come back later. No summoner spells end up getting burned as we see some trading in the top lane.
Wonder, no hesitation there. He's a fish. He loves the pond. Satorius, on the other hand, not so much. Oh! I didn't know that would do that much damage!
First blood goes to Wonder.
Okay. Apologies. That was a poor play-by-play moment on that part. I haven't seen a Fizz in a year, probably.
Oh, man.
I didn't know he could do that. Betty, did you know he could do that?
Well, okay, so for context, right, what you have to remember is that the AP ratio on his Q got buffed this patch, but he doesn't have any AP yet. He didn't even have any
It's a Sheen. It's just a Sheen proc on the Urchin Strike. That is a lot of damage. Tabs, though, he's the one in trouble. Locked up, knocked back. Oh, now Kobbe's the one who's in trouble, though, because Xpeke is trading with him on the front lines. That's a great start for Splyce.
I mean, it's fantastic. Oh, that's absolutely fantastic. Really good play from Wonder. Is able to get himself the kill onto Satorius. And when you're looking at the composition from Splyce, very much orientated towards the 1-3-1. You want to have your Fizz in one side lane, the Ahri in the other, the 3-man unit of Trashy, Kobbe, and Mickey. And if you have your split pusher already getting a first blood this early on, that's a great start, as we actually see Trashy hanging around the mid lane.
Oh, Nahan getting aggressive, running forward, dodging out in the end. Found an even trade there for him, but Vetis looks like you might be right. Oh, bot lane though gonna have to be attention. Zos goes in. Kobbe now gonna need to go out, pulling back. Doesn't use the lantern. Arcane shift to safety. Vetis, I like this. There's junglers, they're staying in their jungler. There's laners, they're trying to kill each other.
Yeah, they are.
And that leads to an exciting game.
And for those that may not know, with the changes to LeBlanc now, a lot of LeBlancs actually choose to max Q rather than W because it just better aids with wave clear. So you use the W to just get the passive mark down onto the mini waves, and then you throw the Q out. And with the added damage, with the Q moving in between all of the marks, that provides better wave clear over maxing your W. So it's just a better laning and trading tool since the hits that LeBlanc did take.
Now, Vetis, when we started to look at this matchup, I think we expected it to be pretty one-sided. And admittedly, we're only 7 minutes into the game. But so far, nothing bad has happened. What is the breaking point for this matchup? When can we really expect to see Splyce find a lead or OG find something? Because it's pretty slow so far.
Well, the problem you have as LeBlanc is that after the nerf, so pushing power isn't as strong, which means that Ahri has an easier laning phase early on. One of the big weaknesses that Ahri usually has is that because of her mana cost being so high and her base stats actually being pretty low, she doesn't really have a powerful pushing lane pre-6. Once she gets level 7 in the Lost Chapter is where she can start to be more aggressive in lane and look to try and trade more efficiently, like you're seeing a little bit more now. But it's very snowbally, so if you ever misuse an ability, if you ever take one overstep, things can really turn in your favor.
It's just that overstep. Senkux goes out the charm. Naeon goes back. Oh, Syncroft, there he is! Surprise, surprise, that's the thrill of the hunt. Action doesn't stop, however. Wonder getting knocked back. Kabi throwing out the ultimate. Where's that going to go, Naeon? Oh, no! Ooh, sniped out, dodged by Sartorius. He flashed nothing, but that's okay. Oh, there's Trashy. Goodbye. Yeah. Vedius,
yes,
I asked you when the game would blow wide open, and I don't remember what you answered, but I'm going to assume you said that.
Yeah,
good job,
it was
Vedius.
exactly that. But I don't think the action's over
Kabi.
yet.
1 shot, 2 shot, 3 shot, miss. All right, Mickey though in trouble.
He has no support.
And Thresh Hook, it looked pretty. I know, it saves his life in the end too, that's nice.
Okay, so a lot of action has just happened in a very short period of time, and it comes off the back of the laners trading aggressively into one another. They want to kill each other. You talked about it earlier on, Dracos, and when you have an Ahri versus a LeBlanc matchup in the mid lane, you have a Fizz up in the top, you're naturally expecting this level of violence to occur, but it's the junglers that are then swinging things in their favor. So Syncroft, he came out of his ultimate, he's guaranteed a crit. That gave him more than enough damage. You can't flash an auto attack. Once he's leaped into the air, that damage is going to land regardless. So Syncroft, he couldn't do anything about it. Meanwhile, on the top side, Wonder was like, hey, I'm not going to go for the same play that I did before. I'm not going to look to kill you. Instead, I'm going to let my jungler do it. So Trashy comes in from the flank. He gets a kill into the top side. But overall, it's always going in the favor of Splyce. It's Splyce that's netting themselves the extra kill here or there. They're getting that small CS advantage here and there, and it's maintaining this pretty significant gold lead in their favor.
And Origen's so close to finding kills of their own. We saw the Jhin ult on the bottom side. 2 more bullets hit. It may be important, but the top lane for us, this is Splyce solo building an advantage out of player skill, and for Wonder, he just keeps looking better.
This meta has been doing wonders for Wonder. As a top laner, he does prefer the carry-style champions. He's very similar to Faxion in that he likes to split push, he likes to try and train lane, and you can just see the difference between pre-patch and post-patch, where we saw all of these new carry top laners like Gnar, Renekton make their way into the meta, and now Fizz, and it just so much better suits his style because he can play aggressively, he can look to try and get kills, and so far he's done a fantastic job of it.
Well, they're no longer happy with the 1v1 Vedius. They're now sending the Lulu as well as the Jhin to the top side. Maybe not quite as comfortable as it once was for Wonder. What's the next move here? Are we expecting just Splyce pushing in on the bottom side? Are they just going to be able to break this tower?
Looks like it right now. Sartorius has been forced back. He actually has no knowledge of where Trashy is, so he's just respecting the possibility of a roam from the jungler. But speaking of junglers, look at where Syncroft is right now. He is hanging around the top side. He does have his ultimate available as well.
Of course, Fizz notoriously hard to lock down. Not a ton of health in the pool yet. But the fish is going to go in. It's nice and big, and it's going to eat the wave. At least part of it. Tower race going on. Yeah, unfortunately, too much pressure in the early game for Splyce. So they've got the push advantage, but the Ezreal comes up and well. Splyce now moving to set their sights on the tier 2, and OG have yet to break the tier 1.
This is a big deal for Splyce, taking advantage of the fact that OG, they were the ones to try and set up this play initially, but they were just a little bit too slow to execute. Splyce already had a pushing lane in the bottom. All Trashy had to do was join his duo in order to push down that turret, and that's enabled them to start knocking on the tower.
And now not only have they gotten nice damage down on that bottom tier 2, about a third of the health taken away, OG also haven't gotten anything here, and the gold lead now continuing to grow. Almost 3K in the favor of Splyce, 12 minutes into the game.
They have 1 kill. That's a bright side. Unfortunately for them, it's not on the LeBlanc, who usually you would prefer to have it on this early into the game, because now the LeBlanc is constantly just getting pushed underneath the tower. Surprised that Senkux has actually gone for what looks to be a very early Abyssal Scepter. I do understand the reasoning behind it. Mainly, you want a defense against the LeBlanc. You expect to move into a side lane relatively soon, so you want to be able to itemize more effectively against a champion like LeBlanc. But by not having them around Nomicon, you will lose out on that cooldown reduction. Your ability to wave kill will be hurt slightly. I think it's just such a perfect item on Ahri that as long as it comes second, it should be fine, but I'm not a fan of not having that item.
We're seeing so many Proto Belts,
Yeah.
Abyssal Scepter. Are you just a sad
I'm not a massive fan of Proto Belt, personally. But that's just a personal preference. That's not to say that it's wrong. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, Syncroft.
Oh no, that's the face check. Wonder's gonna go in, the fish is now attached. Syncroft now potentially doomed to fall. Wonder goes in, Wonder goes down. Syncroft quick to follow. Now getting aggressive on the front side. Trashy ready to go in. Oh, Wonder does so much. Flash to safety, does the Ezreal. Trashy not gonna commit. That's a nice play coming in from Splyce. Now a 4K lead on the back end of that.
Oh, Splyce with the 2 versus 3 end up netting themselves another 2 kills. And look at Cobby and Mickey, they're in the top half. But here comes the TP.
Oh, they want to kill for themselves. Wonder's back. Wonder's TPing in. Mickey gets the hook through the air, but he's going to give his life in the end. Or will he? Flash out. Sartorius, they're looking for a little bit more. Goes in, leaps up, comes down. Wonder on a killing spree.
And Splyce picked themselves up kills all across the map. Wonder is having a fantastic game. Already completed the Trinity Force, but action's not over yet.
Nayan trying to get something back, uses the clone to block the charm, walks out of the trade. Not bad from him, but Splyce breaking a tower in the meantime.
My word, Splyce, you guys are on fire right now. We talked about them being on an upswing, but who would have thought that if you give Wonder a kill, he just runs away with things. Now, what you will see is just a tiny fish coming out from Wonder. That is because he hits it on melee range, so the damage and the slow isn't as impactful. But Wonder is so fed at this point that it doesn't matter. He's more than happy to trade with Trashy and just go for this play. Now, this back from Wonder, the fact that they go back to base and they sit there and go, you know what? I've gotten a kill down bot. I've now got a bunch of gold. You know what? Let's make something happen top. Cobby, Mickey, I felt like we haven't had enough quality time together, so let's just make something happen on the top side of the map, and they get themselves another turn.
Yeah, dive buddies for sure. Now, Mickey, we can say Mickey may be a little over-aggressive, still makes it out in the end.
Mid-air, like, that was sweet.
It definitely looked cool, Vedius. Oh, fish goes in. That is a big fish.
It is indeed a big fish.
Tower slowly breaking down. Nahun charms. Nothing gonna come. Splyce, they just know they have the lead. They are so far ahead. That's a 6K lead, rather. We're 15 minutes in. Vedius, is this it? Is this game already over? That is such a big lead. How do you come back from this?
I mean, it's very difficult. The big thing about 1-3-1 compositions is if the side lane threat ever becomes unstoppable, then what answer does OG really have? You can put the LeBlanc up against the Fizz, but this is an AD Fizz. This guy is very much about extended trades. Once he's picked up what looks to be a wit's end next, building already towards magic resistance, like, that LeBlanc is also going to struggle.
I mean, he's already on a killing spree. We're a few kills away from unstoppable. Is that it? We just now waiting?
I feel like at this point he is unstoppable. I feel that Origen have very few answers, and if they want to kill him, they have to commit this many members. But look, Trashy is also here to stop any kind of dive.
Yeah, but if they can take down the tower, this could be good for them. Wonder does sidestep on the Deadly Flourish. 4 members of OG strong, now looking to get something, but Cobby's here as well. Wonder going forward. He's not even remotely scared. They look for the disengage. Wonder still on the front line. He's taking no damage, but Trashy, that's not the case for him. Wonder exhausted, now backing off. Rengar ult used. Wonder not going to get locked up. Suddenly on the side lane, Mickey fighting a little bit too closely with Nahun. Out comes the curtain call. Down's going to go Mickey. That's a pickup for OG. Hops back. Small victory for the team. Now looking to break the tower. OG continuing to mount the pressure. Splyce overstaying their welcome. Now OG going to grab a tower for themselves, shrink that gold lead right back down.
So this is how OG answer. We talked about how Splyce, a lot of their power right now, is also in mid lane.
Okay, wait. Oh, Nathan. Oh, flash charm. He's done. He's done.
Well played, Senkux. Gets the 1v1 kill down onto Nahun. Another advantage gained for Splyce.
I mean, I'm going to be honest, but that feels like Nahun trying a little too hard to style. Couldn't he just flashed under his tower instead of going back to the copy and then flashing out?
Well, Nahun could have not been that overextended in the mid lane, giving Senkux that opportunity to get the solo kill. Many questions, regardless. What you do have to praise Origen for is making that map movement. They realize, look, Ari's in the bottom lane. She still hasn't been able to push the wave up underneath that tower. She's not even going to take our tower that quickly anyway. So let's just, as a 4-5-man unit, try and push down onto this top lane tower. Splyce tried to fight, but they're a little bit too big for their boots there. They couldn't really make that trade happen. And we're actually going to get a replay of that 1 versus 1. So you'll see that Nahun is just trying to run away. I agree, he could have just flashed towards his tower. Instead, he did not. Good charm, though, from Senko.
Quality analysis. Instead, he did not.
Instead, he did not.
It's grim, Vedius. It continues to be grim. And this
If you're an
brings
Origen
us-
fan, it is. If you're a Splyce fan, this is great. You're having a wonderful day.
This
Hey,
is the Splyce highlight reel right now, right? But this is not where you wanted to be. Is OG? They're so far behind. We look at the lanes. Chain Vest coming out just to mitigate some of the damage that's coming through. But just bits and pieces of each individual item.
Oh, okay. So Wonder, he's actually picked himself up Merc Dreads, which means that he can even better handle the LeBlanc in a side lane. Now he's picked up the Longsword, which to me suggests he is building towards that Blade of the Rune King. So this very much is the itemization that we talked about during the draft phase, where with the changes to Blade of the Rune King, it makes it super easy for the Fizz to be able to stick onto his targets. It naturally fits in with his kit because of how much percentage health damage that he already has. He's really good at killing tanks. If Sartorius was already struggling before, once Wonder gets himself the Blade of the Rune King, along with this additional Rift Herald buff, it becomes pretty much impossible for Sartorius to hold his own.
This is the solo Q nightmare, Vedius.
Oh, it is.
This is the 302 Fizz. He's roaming to every lane. He's killing everyone. And if you're Sartorius right now, all you can do is apologize. Did not expect this. Wonder going down, but they have the vision. OG have been proactive in placing that vision. They do control the bottom side of the map, and that is something for them. But at this point, we're just grasping at straws. It's the little advantages for OG and the giant, massive gold lead on the side of Splyce.
And now, if you are Splyce, all you have to do is set up the 1v1. You can already see they've got Fizz down in the bottom lane. They have Senkux up in the top lane. They just keep these pushing lanes up, and then every time you see Wonder pass the Wither or pass the buff mark, that's where Splyce should be. The Wither, yeah. Look, sometimes I struggle with words too, okay? But then that's when Splyce move in to get a bit of deep vision down, and then gradually over time, Splyce will gain full vision control around the jungle, and that enables them to set up for things like the Baron, like the Dragon, or just look to get themselves picks. They have a great skirmish and pick comp with a huge amount of mobility that should make things very difficult for Origen to try and contest these objectives.
Vedius,
Yes, mate.
we have a little time here.
Yep.
While Splyce push in. When are you going to finally come to the gym?
What am I? Look, mate, I'm just waiting for my trainers to arrive, okay? They take a while. Syncroft,
Well, Trashy.
he's already got his trainers. You see how keen he is? Like, once those are done, he's like, I'm going to run in, I'm good. But I don't have them yet. Once I've got those, I'm ready, I'm primed. I'm going to look great in the gym. It's going to be from Vedius to Shreddius.
What? Oh, I wonder he continues to push. I'm going to introduce you as Shreddius from now on. Andrew Shreddius Day.
Yeah. I'm also great on the guitar, so it could have double meaning. I almost feel like you're lost for words.
I'm lost. I don't know what to say about this. It's turned into
Hey, you asked me about the gym.
I did. I mean, I wanted to know.
Soon TM.
Soon TM. All right, Vedius. 20 minutes, 33 seconds and counting. Wonder's pushing in the bottom side. I am grasping at straws. Origen are getting trounced right now. Now, they're not completely out of the game, but Splyce are just taking their time. Slow and steady wins the race. That's kind of the Splyce MO, right? They get a lead. They kind of choke their opponents out. How do OG get out of the chokehold?
Splyce have to make a very big mistake. They have to overcommit to a Baron that OG could potentially steal. Nahun gets a miraculous 1v1 kill either against Wonder or Senkux as a possible win condition back into it. Tabs on the Jhin is the possible pick potential that OG does have, but it is very difficult as well. The problem that OG have is the big deficit that they're currently in, and with the champs that they have relying pretty heavily on, at very least, this LeBlanc getting an early lead makes things difficult. If they had someone like a Victor, then I'd say their win conditions, or they would have had a few more options in able to come back into it, but because they put all their bets on this LeBlanc, it just makes things that much harder for OG to be able to come back.
Truly a grim fate for the side of Origen. The slow, steady loss, but still trying to make some plays here. TP's coming in. Trashy not going to take the Lantern. Sartorius hesitating on the engage, goes in, knocks him back. Trashy potentially caught out. Nahun jumps forward, Senkuk's over the wall. Mickey going to go down. That's 1 kill for OG, but they're going to get one back in return on the side of Splyce. Wonder taking his time. Senkuk goes to the wall. He wants one for himself. Syncroft, he needs to run to safety. Senkuk gets the dash off in the end. Nahun going forward, trying to get something on the back. Move in. Tabs looks for the snare. OG finding trades of their own.
Now this is not that bad for Splyce as Wonder continues to chase. Given that they are able to come out ahead 2-1, but OG, they're just trying to find whatever fights they can.
Oh,
the Wonder.
Ooh, doesn't make it through with the Urchin Strike. Of course, limited distance on how far that dash will take him.
But this is good from OG. The fact that they try to find a pick, they try to at least catch Splyce off guard. Yes, they get themselves only a kill onto Mickey, and they end up losing 2 on the backside.
And a tower.
But you have to at least try if you're Origen, because you're so far behind at this point, you're gradually going to lose the game anyway. Why not try and force these plays? There's no need to just roll over and die. You may as well at least try and make something happen.
This is the test your limits kind of game, I think, if you're on the side of OG. We'll take a look one more time at this
But you
play.
can see the setup from Origen is actually pretty promising, because you have the flanking teleport. The problem for Sartorius is he doesn't commit to the engage. Splyce actually are allowed to reposition into the choke point, where OG are now the ones that are funneled into this bad position, and that allows these great mobility champions like Ari and Fizz to just keep chasing you down as you're on the retreat. And I think if OG had just committed a little harder, if Sartorius had just said, "I'm going in," then maybe it could have swung a little bit better in their favor, but they hesitated. They allowed Splyce to reposition, and Splyce ended up winning that fight.
Astute analysis.
I don't know why Gragas was Scottish.
I was gonna ask
I'm
about. I was
going
gonna
in.
be awfully critical of you today, so I'm just gonna let you have that one. But
When I look at Gragas,
I mean, he has a VO, right? Like he has a voiceover.
That's
I don't
very
know why
true.
you need to assume a different nationality. Like, do you have an alternate lore now? Oh, Syncroft. Well, no alternate lore for Syncroft. Still just a Rengar.
I mean, all 4 members of Origen are now trapped in the top side of their jungle. Does give room for Wonder to be able to push down mid. He's now moving back towards the bottom lane again, and Splyce, they're just dancing around this Baron, constantly testing OG, baiting them towards this objective, while Wonder just says, "Your base now belong to me."
Has the Blade of the Rune King now. Can he just kill Sartorius?
Yeah, well, he probably can.
Well, the minion wave's still here. Wonder gonna take a bit of damage, and then just walk right back in. No one else from OG is here. That's 50% of the tower health for nothing.
But that's why I was saying earlier on, Splyce, it's just a matter of time before they eventually end the game, which is why OG, them trying to force fights is really one of the best things that they can do, because otherwise it will just be a matter of time before they end up losing their entire base. But here's 2 members of OG down the bottom lane.
Oh, Trashy, though, going to find 1 member of OG all alone. Nice blast coming from Xpeke. Alt, not enough. Wonder, definitely going to take down Naya in there. He's going to burn. Maybe. Oh, Naya. Good job, man. You made it out, but you made me look like a fool. That's fair. Now, Wonder, though, he's not done. Hops in, makes it to safety.
But now Wonder's even winning at 2 versus 1. This allows Splyce to just move directly towards the Baron, and Syncroft, he's just lying in wait.
There he goes. One's forward. He's going to go down. I was hoping to steal a Baron and just dies in the exchange. Trashy's on a rampage. Someone's excited about it. Nahun goes back in for round 2. Can he get it? Oh, no! Fizz! Oh.
Nahun just had Ignite back up. He didn't use it.
No, no. Vetty is the troll pull.
Oh, no. And now Peke, is he going to fall for the trap?
It's the Congo line. I talked to Kreppel about this. It's the combo line. You just run in one at a time. You think, I'm going to be the guy to do it. This is going to be my moment. I'm going to take down Wonder. No.
But Baron steal. But I got hooked. But now I'm dead. And now Splyce, they go straight towards the Baron.
Control ward. Sees nothing. Knows nothing. Dark times.
It is dark because that control ward denied the vision. OG, they lost their entire top half of the jungle. Thanks to all this pressure that Splyce has been exerting. That will be the Baron for Splyce. And this just makes their 1-3-1 all the better.
Yeah, I think at this point they're probably going to break the base, given that Wonder was 2v1ing on the bottom side of the
Now
map
he has
and
a
almost
GA
solo
too.
took an inhibitor. This might be the breaking point we talked about earlier, Vedius.
Well. So.
Wait,
fans,
okay, hold
I have some
on.
bad
No.
news.
Are we wrong, Vedius?
Are we?
Is it us that is wrong in assuming that Splyce will win this game? Because clearly the fans are united behind Origen.
I mean, at least 2/3 of them are. They're thinking, you know what, OG, they have a chance. I'm thinking that the late game Lulu is what's going to swing it in favor of OG.
I mean, it is Xpeke.
It is. I mean, if there is a door, he will find a back to it.
Fair. Right now he needs to find a way out the front door, though.
Yeah, that's
He's
the hard
currently
part, right?
trapped in the base.
In order to get to the enemy's door, he has to get through his own door, which right now has a 4-foot fish with a giant pole. That's making his life very difficult.
You know, when you describe what the champion is, he's not nearly as menacing.
Here comes Satorius.
Large man with alcohol problems going into the back line. Kabi gets knocked back. Yeah, describing what he is either didn't work.
And now Splyce, they're going to quickly move over towards the bottom lane. Inhibitor in their eyes. They still have the Baron buff, the Baron empowered minions. And OG, they tried to go for the flank. It doesn't work once again. And Splyce just continue the onslaught.
The lone man who cheers for objectives, thank you. Whoever you are, you bring me joy. Splyce, however, don't really need any of it. They've got plenty of joy just from closing out this game cleanly, if they can find it. Nahun's not giving it up yet. Does bait out the ultimate, but it's going to be another inhibitor to fall, and it should just be Splyce closing this one out. Plain and simple.
That's 2 inhibitors now for Splyce. The gradual onslaught, and we've seen some great stuff from Wonder. Senkex has actually had a very good game as well on the Ahri. And Splyce have done a lot of fishing, and I feel like they've come back pretty successful.
I mean, do you ban the Fizz next game?
I mean, I kind of feel like you have to. I'm a little surprised that Wonder has brought out the Fizz now, given that this is actually a bit of a surprise pick that you can save for one of your possibly bigger matches later on in the coming weeks against H2K or UOL. But using it against OG, it now shows your hand. You're effectively telling all these other teams, look, I have this great top lane pick.
What if he's not 100% confident? What if he wants to try it here? He
Could
says,
very well be
hey,
that.
Look, maybe I can get something done with this. We can see how the Gragas Fizz matchup works out. Apparently it works out great.
Yeah.
So now he knows that coming into the next series.
There's always that risk of now blind picking a tank into Wonder. Alternatively, it now forces a ban onto Splyce, and there's always a great advantage of that, knowing that we have to ban away this champion from this particular player. It means it does open up the possibility for some of these stronger, more S-tier overall picks.
Yeah, OG already banned the Camille away, maybe now having to ban the Fizz, that's going to leave something else open if we come to game 2. But OG, this is the final stand. Mickey's going to hook Xpeke, looking for something to start the fight. In goes Trashy. Oh, Xpeke still alive. Syncroft trying to get someone on the backside, but he gets popped. Satorius, the only man moving forward. Xpeke, though, he's going to fall as well. OG, they're getting torn apart. This is Splyce cleaning up, taking members down. Nahun wants a final kill for himself. He's not going to get it. Quadra comes in for the fish, and this is the story of Wonder dominating the game.
Very clean flight from Splyce, and a very clean win on the books. This is what we'd expect from Splyce.
Absolutely. At the end of the day, here it is. Splyce victory in game 1. Exactly as predicted. It was quick, it was clean, it was confident.
And Splyce, they lead the series 1-0 right now. OG have their work cut out for them. We've talked a lot about how Splyce, they seem to be on the up and up. They seem to be a team that look to be getting better and better each week, especially after IEM. They just seem like a very different team. And now, especially with Wonder coming back on these tanks, he effectively, I don't want to say he solo carried that game because the whole of Splyce played very well, but his initial advantage gained in the top lane was a large part of where they got
he solo built leads, right?
Yeah.
2v1,
Yeah.
he built leads, and of course the team helped out as well. Everyone was having a good game. Trashy had solid impact, came up on top, picked up that kill that Wonder sort of donated to him, and it just exploded across the map. And if you're OG, is this a game where you can really learn anything, or is this just too one-sided to take something away?
Ooh, I think that, like, when you look at OG, they didn't necessarily do anything wrong. It was just, it all snowballed off the back of that 1v1 death in the top lane, right? Because the moment Wonder had that advantage, he did not stop dictating the pace of the map. OG were forced to lane swap to the top side. They tried to make something happen, and it didn't work out. And OG were just constantly trying to react to this constant pressure that was coming out from Wonder.
Yeah, see how OG adjusts, but let's send it over to the analyst desk to analyze the Fizz out of game 1.
Thank you so much, Dracos. And yeah, well, Splyce, said they were on the up and up, and they had a statement game here versus Origen. Talk me through the picks and bans and kind of the Fisho and Foxy's thinking as the picks came out. Was it clear to you guys that Fizz was top lane straight as it came out?
It wasn't 100% clear, but we were like, hang on.
Yeah.
Why would you blind pick mid lane Fizz? Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. They already knew the Gragas was picked. You talked about the matchup from solo queue a little bit. You'd seen it.
Yeah. I honestly thought the matchup is in slight edge for Gragas, but I guess Wunder is just the strongest player here, so he showed dominance.
In general, what do you think about the Gragas as a top lane pick?
I think Gragas is a really good blind pick, but when you're blue side, red side, like Origen was this game, you usually want to last pick the top lane or pressure a counter pick, so I don't think it's a good pick on blue side, on red side.
Yeah, because in this situation, Origen kind of ended up just getting like a skill matchup in mid lane as the counter pick with the LeBlanc on red side. So that didn't really go in their favor. Mickey, of course, with the first pick Thresh. That's the new meta right now. Miss every hook, but Foxy was just like, oh, he wants the highlights. He wants the montage. That's why he's doing it, but he didn't get it this time.
All the picks came out, and I was like, Yamato said, guys, you can pick anything you want, but if you suck, you don't get it again. Well, Wunder is definitely going to get the Fizz again.
He's going to get the Fizz. Not sure you're going to get the Yamato Oscar right now. So, Foxy, what's happening here?
It just Fizz abusing his all-in. Like, he bought Sheen first item, and the Gragas had 3 Doran Blades, so he just wants to all-in, and it's Sartorius not respecting the damage.
Talk me through some of the viable Fizz builds, obviously, here. Yeah.
You can usually go tank, like Iceborne Gauntlet and Spirit Visage, but if you get ahead or a solo kill like Wunder did, you can obviously go for Trinity Force and Blade of the Ruined King and just go full split push build. You can like win 1v1 against any tank with that build and just roam around the map.
That's what he did. Yes. Player of the series, Wunder.
Yeah, let's go right here.
Don't even
I don't know
next
what's
game.
going to come out. Yeah, it's pretty unfortunate, of course, for Sartorius because once that kill was given up, there was nothing to do, and the game snowballed absolutely out of control. Even with, and I don't think he'll be mad at us for saying this, and Mickey X not really delivering on the Thresh.
We're just doing because we have his friend here, so.
Yeah, definitely. Yes. But it's definitely, it's stuck between a rock and a hard place for OG, and it's good to see for me, though, that Splyce, they didn't just sit back, they picked some new things and they wanted to show, hey, we can try these new things. We are on the up and up. We can't not play around a bit, we can test new things rather.
Yeah, exactly. Like, let's remember that Splyce last split played like Talia top lane, we had Science support from Mickey.
All very serious games.
Well, they were bringing out a lot of new things, or trying a lot of new things when they played against weaker opponents, and they're doing the same thing here. So I think it's pretty cool because I guess in a way it puts it in the mind of the next enemy, like, oh, he might play Fizz here. Like, I need to know the matchup at least now, because if I'm playing Gragas again, maybe Wunder picks the same as before. And we saw Sartorius clearly didn't he didn't know how much damage the Q into the second W hit from Wunder would do. That's what we saw in the replay. That's why he didn't flash. That's why he died, and then it snowballed.
Yeah. Is it a case of even if you read the patch notes and you've played against it a couple of times, once you actually have to play the matchup on stage, do you sometimes miscalculate those things?
I guess you can, yeah. Like, Wunder played really aggressive in his laning phase, so he just caught Sartorius off guard. I think that was the case. Like, Sartorius was confident that he won't die, but Wunder just knew it, I guess.
We also had Odo Amne yesterday talking about the Renekton versus Camille matchup. And he was talking about how, when he played it normally against everyone else but Chachi's Renekton, he was like, yeah, I'm going even, it's okay. Then you play Chachi on it on stage, and then you lose. And it might be the same here. Maybe Sartorius was kind of like a no Fizz matchup, but Wunder just played it way better than maybe he expected, or maybe he was used to.
Yeah, and he got the snowball rolling, and that was it for Splyce. Well, our tier of the goddess is almost fully stacked. We're going to take a 3.5-minute break while we upgrade to Muramana, and we'll be back for Game 2 between Splyce and Origen. See what I did there?
Yeah, now it makes sense. Yeah.
I didn't know that would do that much damage! First blood goes to Wunder.
Oh, Synchro, there he is! Surprise, surprise, that's the thrill of the hunt. Action doesn't stop, however. Wunder getting knocked back. I'm pulling out the ultimate. Where's that going to go? No, no! OG, they're getting torn apart. This is Splyce. Clean it up, taking members down. Ahud wants a final kill for himself. He's not gonna get it. Quadra comes in for the fish, and this is the story of Wunder dominating the game.